Hello everyone, my name is Pixlriffs and welcome back to the Minecraft Survival Guide. I hope you guys are having a good day. Today I am back here at my usual super smelter. I'd rather prefer this one over the other two. I've got the one with the blast furnaces and the one with the smokers because this one will cook sand into glass. The furnaces here are the only thing that can convert sand into glass, and I have a whole lot of sand that I want to convert into a whole lot of glass. I'm looking for light grey stained glass specifically because we are going to use that to floor the Nether hub, which we've experimented with the design for. I'm pretty happy with the compass design so far. We're going to do a lot more work down there, but I really want to get some sort of glass ceiling on it so that we can move forward with that whole project. And the problem with that right now is I am lacking in fuel slightly. I have some stuff in here which has... Some of the furnaces do have fuel, some of them don't, and I am in desperate need of some more blaze rods. Now, thankfully, there was a problem with Minecraft 1.14 which prevented me from using the blaze farm. There was a bug for a while that allowed blazes to see players when they had been hit and see them through transparent blocks like glass or like the trapdoors that we were using to kind of, you know, hold them off in the killing mechanism that I have set up down here. I say killing mechanism, it's really just a hole that they can fall into where they can't see the player, but the player can still hit them. This is what I'm talking about, this area down here. For a while, before Minecraft 1.14.3 was released, I couldn't use this farm at all because there were trapdoors here, but even though I was standing underneath the trapdoors and I should have been out of the eye line of the blazes, they were all getting angry at me when I would take a swipe at them. And the unfortunate thing about that was that blazes, much like other mobs like zombie pigmen and wolves, for example, will pass aggro between themselves. And so, whenever one of them got mad at me, they all got mad at me. And when blazes get mad, they fly up into the air, and that prevents them from getting caught in the slime block flying machines down here. So that was a bit of a problem for me, and I wasn't really able to use the blaze farm for the longest time. Now, however, it should be possible to use the blaze farm without any adverse effects, and of course I have to stand within range of the spawners to make sure that they actually activate properly, but hopefully everything should work out fine. The blazes should end up coming down into this little area down here eventually. I mean, maybe I need to run the slime block fly machines a little bit longer so that they can all get caught up in the mechanism, okay? But there we go. Eventually we get a blaze coming down here into the mechanism. We can give them a couple of taps with the sweeping edge sword, and we get a whole bunch of blaze rods here in the chest. Now, thankfully, I have been doing a little bit of time... Oh, that one just died in the slime block flying machine. That's a problem with these machines occasionally. The suffocation can get to them. But I really want to make some changes to this farm because I don't like the way that that little area down at the bottom there is set up. It's not really all that convenient, and there are some other fun ways that we can mess with the blazes, with want of a better word. I think that's really what I want to do today, is do some fun stuff with the blaze spawner and get myself a little bit more fuel in the process. This is no longer really viable as an XP farm for me because we have the Enderman farm, which is super fast, and we have the Guardian farm, which gets me a ton of really useful prismarine drops and stuff like that. So I want to change up the design of the blaze farm a little bit, change up the way the blaze farm behaves, and we will do our best to make this an interesting design. First of all, though, I want to get these blaze rods into the super smelter system so that I can smelt up a bunch of glass. And as you'll see, these rods have not been distributed evenly in the past. There have been a lot of furnaces which have been skipped over or have smelted more stuff thanks to the minecart chests, like only having a little bit of stuff to deposit in these first two furnaces. So I'm going to make sure that each of these have a reasonable amount of fuel in them so that we can get this stuff going. Thankfully, that should not take too long. We can start smelting all of the glass that I wanted to smelt wherever I left that. There we go. We can put the sand in the system and it can all get turned into glass. And then we can get started on doing some fun stuff with blazes. So the first step is going to be to get in here and disable the blaze spawners. We do not want these things activating while I am setting any of this stuff up. And we're going to do that in a smarter way than the way we did it when we first set up the spawner farm, which is to surround this whole thing with solid blocks. That was mainly a demonstration of exactly where the spawnable area around a spawner is. But for the most part, what we want to do is simply head up there and light it up adequately. Now, blazes will spawn in a light level of 11 or less, but by a careful arrangement of large light sources like sea lanterns or glowstone around the outside of here, we should be able to have the blaze spawner completely shut off. Now, of course, we do need to deal with the blazes that are already in there, and some will probably spawn while I'm setting this whole thing up. So for protection, I'm going to splash myself with a potion of fire resistance just to make things a little bit easier on myself, and we brought some scaffolding that I can easily scaffold up and place the sea lanterns where I want them. But already, yeah, we have like 5 or 6 blazes in each of the spawners, so it's probably going to take a little while. Remember that even with fire resistance, blazes can still melee attack you, so it's probably best to take care of them before they decide to fly up towards us and mess with us too much. And once the room is a little clearer, I'm going to scaffold up here, and we're going to place sea lanterns basically 4 corners around the outside of here. So I'm going to put one there, I'm going to scaffold over and put one there, and then from there we're going to do a couple more in the radius of about here. Ow. Let's go with that. Just for good measure, I've put one on top of the spawner as well, and there might still occasionally be dark spaces in the air around here, yeah, but that's spawning blazes a lot less frequently than it was. Okay, so I spaced the sea lanterns out a little bit more. It's still spawning blazes every now and again, but for the most part, this one is taken care of. Now let's hop out of here, and let's go and do the same thing with the other spawner on this side. Okay, that's the second one done. Now, let's explain a little bit more about what we're going to do here, because it's still going to rely on the slime block flying machines to get the blazes into where we want to go. However, my overall plan for this whole thing is to have the blazes actually transported into the overworld via a nether portal, where we can do something that it is not possible to really do in the nether, which is damage them using water. So instead of these flying machines pushing the blazes that way and then that way and having the blazes drop into a hole, instead what we're going to do is still have the flying machines do the pushing, but allow them to push the blazes into a nether portal that's going to take them to a specific location in the overworld. And now, I have to figure out exactly what location that's going to be, because right now, I'm not entirely certain what is going to be on the opposite side of a nether portal. We do have a nether portal set up already at the location of our zombie and, our skeleton and double cave spider spawner. So I'm thinking that chances are, if we build a nether portal around here, it's still going to come out at that location. But if we take the exact coordinates and match the nether portal up, we can be more precisely aware of where the blazes are going to spawn, when they get to the overworld at least. So let's cut our way through here once again, and let's hop out into... Well, this guy was waiting for me, apparently. Fire resist potion has worn off, so I'm going to have to be a little bit more careful. But if we set up a nether portal around here, just breaking this flying machine for a second, if we set up the nether portal around there and set it up at the similar place on that side, then the matched nether portals should at least take the blazes to the same place, and that will allow us to kind of corral the blazes into an area that's going to be full of water in the overworld and have water streams carrying the blaze rods down into trenches. And it'll mean we have to worry a lot less about all of this extra gubbins that I've got set up here. So what I think we're going to do is put down a nether portal here on the corner, right about here, and then we're going to have another one coming off of the same portal frame. And that's a portal that blazes can now travel through. Let's see exactly where this takes us out to. I'll take the coordinates as I go, because my hunch is that it's going to transport us directly to... Oh! Okay. That is not what I expected. It's a nice looking cave system though. I might have to come back and explore this later, but for now, no. We want to move this up to the surface. So let's grab all of this extra obsidian, break this portal to make sure that no blazes come through in the meantime, and let's see where this ends up. I've just figured out why it spawned us in a cave. It's because the alternative was spawning us on the surface in a swamp. This is actually kind of perfect, aside from all of the spiders coming to kill me. Now, this is actually a pretty good environment for setting up a blaze killer, because there's a lot of water around already. We really don't have to do all that much extra work, although, of course, we will have to contain the blazes somehow. And it seems like, yeah, the coordinates are probably going to be roughly the same. I will quickly check those to make sure that we are matching up the portal exactly. But this ain't bad. 800, 512. That's the coordinates we needed, and this should approximately take us back to the blaze spawner. Perfect. Okay, now the next task is going to be to build the same nether portal, but on the next axis. So we're going to be building it right here, I guess. This is going to require a little bit of adjustment of our slime block flying machines, but ultimately not too much, because both obsidian and the portal blocks themselves are not pushable by slime blocks or pistons. So it shouldn't break the portal to have the slime block come to rest against it, and that should still allow it to push blazes directly into the portal and through to the overworld on the other side. And before we do anything else, let's just quickly check that this portal takes us through to the same place. Perfect. Okay, so each set of those blazes is going to be transported through the same portal in the overworld, and the idea is that they will immediately come out into water streams and be forced to take damage in water until the player comes along to finish the job. Of course, the problem now is going to be setting up those flying machines to test this and make sure that the blazes get pushed back into those nether portals. And we have broken a bunch of the redstone that we had enclosed in this little section here, so we're going to have to tear that down and reinstate the flying machines with a mechanism that will still allow them to activate each time they return to the station here. It's really going to be no different to the way we set up this blaze spawner in the first place. It's just going to take a little bit of redstone finagling. So I'm going to do the majority of that off camera for you guys. It's going to be quite specific to this situation, so I don't really see the need to do it all on camera. But when we come back, we should have a system that pushes the blazes from this little section over here straight into those portals and out into the swamp. One more thing we do need to set up before we do that, though, is a matched portal outside of here that's going to take us to a location that is safe for the player, because as the player, you don't want to end up in the same trap as the blazes. Instead, you want your own portal that you can come out of and visit the kill mechanism directly. So what I'm going to do is set up a nether portal over here, which hopefully should not be too far away from the blaze collection area that we're setting up in the swamp right now. And we can match this portal to the exact coordinates, meaning that when we come out into the overworld, we shouldn't have too far to go. And right now, it is teleporting me directly to this portal because it's the most convenient one. It's the one that most closely matches those coordinates. But if we are clever, and if we take these coordinates from the second screenshot that I took and multiply those by 8, we should be able to approximate the coordinates. We can probably go a little bit easy on it as well. We can probably do a little bit of fudging of the numbers, and we should be able to make a portal that's a little bit closer, but is outside of the mechanism that's collecting all of the blazes. And hopefully, the blazes shouldn't need to go through that portal, because this one is the better one for them. Well, a couple of painful hours of work and a couple of cups of tea later, I think I have this in a state where it's actually working. And yes, for whatever reason, this halo of lights, this absolutely perfect ring of sea lanterns, is still not enough to prevent blazes from spawning. So I've had a heck of a time trying to get these guys not to spawn, but in the meantime, I have managed to get working what I think is a pretty fun, if not particularly effective, design. And let me run through how this works. For a start, I have absolutely cannibalized this area here in favor of setting up a slightly more compacted approach to the redstone contraptions we have here, moving the slime block flying machines around. In fact, we could probably eliminate 2 of the repeaters here and just have 1 repeater on 2 ticks adjusting those trapdoors. But basically what happens when we flick this switch, much like before, is the flying machines all go off on their respective paths. And here we have our nether portals, which eventually, once the blazes get pushed into the trench down here, are going to propel the blazes into the overworld. And when that happens, of course, the blazes are temporarily loaded into the overworld, causing a bit of a lag spike, as you can see. And then once the flying machines catch up, it's not enough for them to break, because technically speaking, they are still moving around. But that causes a bit of a spike in the the kind of performance. Here we go. Yeah, that's working out pretty well. So eventually what's going to happen is we've collected enough blazes in the system through this nether portal, and the blazes have been moved into unloaded chunks, so that they're all going to stay loaded when we go back into the world. And for that, I have had to move the nether portal a little bit closer from here to here, because that's an 8-block difference, which in the overworld is 64 blocks. And as you'll remember, if you put a mob more than 23 blocks away from a player, it has a chance to despawn, if it's a hostile mob at least. So ideally, we wanted this portal to be within range of the area where we are trapping the blazes, so that they didn't end up despawning by the time we got to them. And okay, let me turn those machines off so we have a little bit of peace and quiet here. Now, when we go through the portal to the overworld, we should find that there are a decent amount of blazes currently trapped in the system. And this is pretty cool, because what we have here is a swamp collection box for the blazes, which automatically propels them via this water stream down into a collection area here. And it does kill a couple of them on the way if they've taken damage in the flying machines, which is a bit of a flaw, but it will collect them down here where we can attack them. And once we figure out a way of having the blazes contained in here without them seeing me or melee attacking me through the side here, what we're going to have is a blaze farm where they have been damaged and collected by a water stream into a kill mechanism like this. Now, is this absolutely pointless compared to the previous design we had? I mean, pretty much, but I love the fact that we are moving the blazes into the overworld and damaging them with water. And considering that we weren't really using the blaze farm in any case, I think this is a really neat way of collecting a huge amount of blazes at once. What's more, if we dig this hole down a little bit further and add vines to the side of here, we should be able to circumvent Minecraft's entity cramming rules, and that will allow us to collect a near infinite amount of blazes in this little section here. Now, the next problem is how to get them out of the Nether portal at the back here, because that presents a bit of a problem. Normally, the sheer number of blazes in here will cause them to push each other out of the portal, but after that, they don't really tend to pathfind out of the portal, especially considering that the nearest thing to them is some water. They would much rather stay there and hover and be relatively inactive. So what we want is a setup that will allow us to push the blazes out of the portal. And we're going to use a water stream for that too. We're going to set up 2 dispensers on either side of the portal, and we're going to take advantage of dispensers being able to break and light nether portals using a flint and steel or a bucket of water. So here's a cool thing you may not have known about buckets of water. If we place one on the inside of a portal frame like this, it breaks the nether portal, and you can automate this using dispensers, which is a pretty cool mechanic and one that we're going to take advantage of today. Now, I'm going to very quickly duck myself down here, not using the bucket of water, using the trapdoors, like so. If we pop under there, and then we can add 2 dispensers, which I have brought with me inside this shulker box. We're going to add those to the underside of these 2 nether brick blocks here. One of these is going to contain a lot of flint and steel. So we're going to be putting 9 of them in here just because that means the maximum amount of durability. As you will know, flint and steels have durability, and much like the shears we have in our automatic sheep shearing farm, they can break. But a flint and steel has 64 durability, and each one of these is going to be 64, and if we have 9 of them in there, we're probably not going to use these all that much, so it's going to be fairly straightforward just to have a bunch of flint and steels in here. We can replenish them if we need to. It's 1 iron and 1 flint. Not that expensive. Now, in this next one, we're going to be placing a water bucket, and the idea is that the flint and steels will be able to relight the nether portal here just from a dispenser, and then in the other one, we're going to have a water bucket that's going to be able to break the nether portal and also flush the blazes down here into this system. And I've taken out the existing water sources and made sure that this was level with the portal, just so that we could have a straightforward water stream leading to these trapdoors and eventually pushing the blazes down into where we're going to kill them. The flow of water is also being stopped by these trapdoors, and I just created a wall of trapdoors here, but you could easily do that with signs or anything like fence gates, something like that. Ideally, if you're dealing with blazes, you want something that isn't going to get set on fire, but hopefully once we get this all set up right, the blazes shouldn't be able to see us or set anything on fire anyway. So here's hoping that this all goes according to plan. Now, in order to turn these dispensers on and off, we're going to have 2 redstone torches powering these 2 blocks from below. This red one here is going to switch on the portal using the flint and steel. Then the black one over there is going to turn off the portal, lights out, with the black concrete there, using the bucket of water that's inside the dispenser. So that one flicks it on, turns it on. Let's see if that has succeeded. Yes, you can see the portal in there. And then all we need to do is place a redstone torch underneath this one, like so. And it's going to turn on it's going to turn the nether portal off, it's going to turn on the water, and it's going to propel any blazes that are stuck in the portal down to the end of here where they're going to get washed into our killing mechanism. Now, I've dried out a little space out the back here because we're going to create a very quick circuit that's going to switch on or off the water dispenser, and each time it's also going to pulse the dispenser with the flint and steel in it on a timer so that it only activates the portal after the water has cleared away, because it won't be able to activate it using the fire while there is still water inside of there. So I think this should be fairly straightforward to do. We'll need a repeater going into this block here. We'll need some kind of input with a button or something like that, and we'll need a little bit of redstone dust as well as the repeaters that I've got on me in my inventory. Let's quickly make, do we have a stone button or something? There we go, got a piece of stone. We'll need a short pulse for this, so a stone button is going to be ideal, and if we press that right now, that's going to reset the dispenser in there. It's going to switch off the water. As you can see, that is now completely dry. That hasn't turned the portal back on yet, though, because we need to take a pulse out from this button and put it into this redstone torch over here. And we're probably going to need quite a long delay on this, which is why I've given myself a little bit of room here. Now let's bring the redstone dust up and around here. We can always add another repeater to that if we want to. I've turned the water back on quickly so that we can see if this works. Now, if I press this button, it's going to pulse that, which retracts the water, and then on a little bit of a timer, it adds... okay, we're going to need to lengthen the timer just a little bit. So that's now a timer of 20 redstone ticks or 40 game ticks. It's about 2 seconds, and what that's going to do is send a delayed pulse to this dispenser, which is going to activate the flint and steel and switch it back on. Let's hit that one more time, which is going to bring the water back. We'll take a look at it from this angle. Yep, there we go. And after a second or two, you heard that second tick. That's tried to activate the dispenser with the flint and steel in it, but as you can see, it's only taken 1 durability because it's only been able to successfully light the portal once. Now let's try that again. This time, we're going to press the button, we're going to hear the water retract, like so, the water goes away, and the portal lights successfully. Brilliant. So that's going to allow us enough time to flush the blazes out into the killing mechanism here, and then we can press the button again to activate the portal, allowing more through next time we go back to the Nether and AFK at the blaze farm. Perfect. Now we just need a control for that around this side, because I would rather not have to go all the way around to the back of this thing every time I wanted to activate it. So, you know what, let's run a redstone signal just along the side here. That should be simple enough to do. Let's try that from here, for example. We should be able to see it through the corner there. If I press that, portal breaks, whole thing floods with water. Second click means the dispenser fires, but as you can see in the subtitles as well, actually, it has failed. Now, if you press the button again, the water goes away, and eventually the portal relights, allowing the blazes to come back through. And that is going to be our blaze flushing system button, which we could conceal a little bit more artfully if we wanted to. I could probably just put it on the end here using a spruce plank on the side, like so. Add the button on there, and the redstone could all be concealed behind a wall or something like that. Now, using my shears, I'm going to take a couple of vines from the outside of here, and we should be able to add those into this killing mechanism in here. And if we put those at around where the blaze's head height is going to be, so probably about there, that should allow us to circumvent the entity cramming issues, because if you have a mob on a vine or a ladder or something like that, it's still going to be able to float down if it's on a vine, because they don't have that top section of the hitbox that they can stand on like you can with ladders. And with the vines there, hopefully they shouldn't disappear if they catch fire. Once again, we have fire spread off. It is actually going to prevent the blazes from piling up in there and entity cramming on each other, because their hitboxes aren't quite going to overlap exactly. At least that is the plan. Now let's see if we can AFK a little while, gather some blazes, and let's see how many we can eventually collect here in the system. Of course, that will require me to go on one more daredevil mission to come back in here and take out all of the sea lanterns, switching all of the lights off once again. And, yep, I'm getting shot at, and I don't have any fire resist potions on me, so I'm going to try and make this as quick as I possibly can. And I don't really care about collecting up the sea lanterns, because I have a ton of them from the Guardian farm. Whoa, okay, yep, no, we're in here now. We're in here for good. Gonna have to try and get out of here using fireworks in a second if I can. And I don't want to get, oh gosh, I don't want to get meleeed into the system. All right, let's just dig our way out and then block this off. Okay, whew. That was a bit of a bit of a situation in there. You turn the lights off and these things come out of the woodwork. Okay, we're all good. And the cool thing about this new AFK area is that it's actually right in the middle of these two spawners, so I really don't need to do all that much finagling of the AFK spot. I just need to stand here by this lever, turn it on whenever I can, and we should be in business. Oh, not good. Not good. Okay. So there might be a bit of a problem with this portal here, because I honestly thought this portal was one way and that we had matched up the portal okay on the opposite side, but it seems like we may have a little bit of an issue on our hands here. I think what's happening is the blazes that are going through to the portal that we've set up in the Overworld, the ones which are... Oh, yep, that guy can see me too. I thought he was on the opposite side of the glass. He was faking me out there for a minute. I think the blazes that we're sending through the portal are actually nudging each other back through the portal on the opposite side. And the other portal on the other side is not linking up to these two portals again and pushing them back through down there. It's actually linking up to this one. Eee. That could be a problem, especially like because we can't remove them from this portal. If we take them back to the Overworld, then they'd come through on the opposite side of the portal where my entrance to the Blaze Farm is. So we're probably going to have to do something about that. Yep, and they're here in the Overworld as well. A couple of them made it back through the portal after after messing with it there, and they're in the overworld as well. Oh, goodness. But after stepping through the portal, it looks like we are collecting a whole heap of blazes here. So much so that the vines was actually stopping them all from collecting down here. I think they were just coming to rest on top of the vines. I need to flush the system through. Let's check that that works okay. Yep, there we go. The blazes are all being channeled in here. Who'd thought we would be channeling blazes into a mechanism like this using water? That's pretty special. And yes, this is probably not the most effective we could make a blaze farm. I'm sure there are better ways of doing this, but are those ways quite as fun as moving them over here into the overworld, I ask? And the answer is probably no. I kind of like how this whole system functions, and I really like having the blazes just push down here with water, taking advantage of their weakness to water and dispatching them from the bottom here. How many blaze rods do we have right now? Let's take a quick look. That's a decent amount. Like, I definitely got a few of those from that attack of blazes that came back through the portal. That's a flaw I have yet to work out. That's a bit of a kink in the system, but add those to the blaze rods I've already gathered from just messing with them this whole afternoon, and we're looking pretty solid. I'm at least enjoying using the blaze farm again, which was something that just became a little bit of a frustration with the old farm design. For whatever reason, it just wasn't really working for me. So I like this, and I feel like we can probably improve on the look of this whole setup and maybe even work out some of the problems with it, like the portals not quite being linked correctly and that kind of stuff. We can work out the distances and make sure that they can't make it back through that portal in the Nether to mess with me while I'm AFKing. And a couple of them even made it through to the overworld as well. But I think that's been a successful experiment, if not a complete setup yet, if not necessarily like a guide to how you can make this farm. At least we are getting somewhere, and I hope, if nothing else, it served as inspiration for what you can really do with spawner farms. We're going to do some stuff moving mobs in and out of the Nether when we come to a drowned farm, and that's going to be an especially fun experiment to try out. So I hope you guys will enjoy that. And in the meantime, I hope you've enjoyed this look at bringing blazes to the overworld and exploiting that watery weakness that they all have. But that's going to be it for this episode of the Minecraft Survival Guide. Thank you so much for watching. My name has been Pixlriffs. Don't forget to leave a like on this episode if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you guys soon. Take care. Bye for now.